Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
You said valid votes counts. Votes cast must more votes cast must mean valid. You said valid votes counts. Votes cast must more.
How old are you?
I'm 28, sir.
And where do you live?
Kitty.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Apply for a house lot?
Not yet.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your
right, hey, guess what? Good night, and my name is Mark Benchap, and welcome to Straight Up. In Guyana, it's a holiday, and I repeat, Guyana has the most holidays in the world. Every other week there's a holiday. Today happens to be CARICOM Day. I don't know what's the purpose of CARICOM these days. CARICOM doesn't carry anything come. In fact, CARICOM is dead. CARICOM is a burden on the people of Guyana and the other Caribbean countries or islands that actually upkeep them. Those guys in CARICOM are freeloaders. Good night to all of you. And I say this not to disrespect the workers, because they're technical staff members, they do their job, I can't blame them. But what, any one of you in this audience right now, any one of you, any one of you, can tell me what good has CARICOM done over the past 10 years? Anybody who tells me what good CARICOM has done, you win yourself, let me see, anybody. Anybody? Sorry, I didn't realize I was live and you guys saw me. There's my baby sitting back. Sorry about that, guys. I should be more professional on this show, right? Showing you my baby sitting back with my coins in it. But on a serious note, anybody, any one of you can tell us right now, what has CARICOM done over the past 10 years? And you get, let me see how much you guys are going to get here. $1, quarter, 2 quarters, 50, 60, 1 quarter and 65, sorry, 66 cents. You guys got it. Right now, tell us, what has CARICOM done? CARICOM headquarters, guess where it is? Lilienthal, and all those people there, all those workers there. They get chairman of CARICOM. They get all these people sitting there making tons and tons of money. And you, the ordinary people, can't even, I'm talking about the civil servants, they can't get anything done, but millions upon millions of dollars. And those guys, when you see them, those diplomats at CARICOM headquarters there in Georgetown, guess what? What they said, what have they achieved? They couldn't even fix Haiti. They can't even address the situation in Guyana. They run around like pussycats, like headless chickens. That is what they do. It serves absolutely no purpose. Because when the corrupt PPP regime and when they do all manner of things to Guyanese, guess what? The people at CARICOM do nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. The big boys and the big girls and your dollars, our dollars, tax-paying dollars, maintain them. So they're like freeloaders. They're welfare recipients at CARICOM, the higher echelons I'm talking about. And then when we move from CARICOM, we move to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Another bunch of freeloaders. They do nothing, absolutely nothing. If you bring your cases to either myself or Nigel Eliakim, aka Nigel London, he's with us tonight. We will do a better job than those pacus at the Caribbean Court of Justice. What do they do for you? The next government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, guess what? They should get rid on day 2. Forget it. Sign an executive order and finish with the Caribbean Court of Justice. Done with it. It's a waste of time. Lots of things happening in Guyana. Lots of things happening in the Caribbean. You get Hurricane Beryl behaving worse than Jack Dale. Well, anybody who behaves worse than Jack Dale must know it's bad. But I think with Hurricane Beryl and Jack Dale, they're running like a dead heat right now. Good night to you, Mr. Eliakim. How are you, sir?
Greetings to you and to those who are joining, those who are listening via 107.1 FM. I trust you can hear me well. I'm out of town having a ball, and only one person can get me to interrupt my time of relaxation to join. But I'm certainly always honored to have this moment shared with you, and it is certainly well.
I at the last minute, I don't know. There's something about us and this last minute thing. I don't know if it's a second alley, third alley, or a poker street thing.
Or Marcel Ali.
Good night to you. By the way, as we were saying, Guyana, I like your blinds. I like your
Yeah, you
blinds.
see that, huh?
How have you been, sir? Good night and welcome.
Good night. Thank you. I've been doing well. I'm way out of town trying to get some, of course, moments to clear my head, as they say, and relax. But still, I'm always working, as you can see, and always ready to serve and work. So this is just a
Yep, and
part of what I'm doing here and what I'm assigned to do.
we appreciate that very much. Good night to all of you. If you're now joining, wherever you are, whether you're in Guyana, outside of Guyana, you're in England, you are in Canada. Good night to the folks in Canada. They oftentimes say we don't say anything to them. But let's begin. It's CARICOM Day in Guyana. In the beginning, I did say, what is it that CARICOM has done over the past 10 years? Mr. Eliakim, your take. What has CARICOM done for us?
For us, nothing, but cause in very, very strange and in some cases disturbing circumstances, they cause the nation to be destabilized. And maybe that is what they were intended to do, because it seems if many voices in CARICOM only speak when certain elements are in authority or have an opportunity to be in authority. Because when I saw how many people spoke, how many of them had things to say about David Granger, and he should have left office and he should have demitted and just removed. Now, with all that would have happened since 2020 August to today, it seems as if CARICOM has become non-existent. The things that Guyanese have been made to suffer at the hands of this criminal clan, this cabal of marauding bandits. I don't know what it would take for CARICOM leaders to have something to say. I'm of the view that Ghana should not even be there, because at this moment, given the wealth we possess, CARICOM would be like leeches, many nations therein, and they would seek to have their nationals and others make as much money as they can on the back of our corrupt regime. CARICOM has done nothing for Guyana. We have 20 of our children who were burnt alive, burnt to death, young girls and one boy in Madia. I did not hear anything from CARICOM condemning the fact that this administration refused to do that to save for our child. ExxonMobil is raping our nation. CARICOM is not saying much as a body to speak to the fact that they're even flaring out there in the ocean while I speak. They're not saying anything about these things. The lopsided contract that we're seeing here and in reference to ethnic proportions, Guyanese of African ancestry descent are getting basically nothing when compared to others, and CARICOM is certainly muted where these things are concerned. So in my view, CARICOM has done nothing for our nation over the past 10 years, but cause a quite unstable environment to be experienced. I would never support these people.
Absolutely never support them. They're not concerned about anything. They're freeloaders. They're a bunch of bloodsuckers, so to speak. That might stretching it a little bit, but once you're sucking the blood of ordinary working class people, taxpayers of the country, you've got to be considered bloodsuckers. And those guys, the salaries of those individuals, like the Secretary General, and all these guys, they make millions upon millions of dollars every month. Meanwhile, the poor lady, the poor man from Blackbush Polder, Mackenzie, Ituni, Kokwani, and other places, guess what they make? A couple $100 a month if they're lucky at all. And then the CCJ too, the Caribbean, your friends at the CCJ, a bunch of waste timers as well. I don't know. I'm of the view that the next government, because we ought to have a change of government next time around. The very next day, I think they should just discontinue any cooperation from Guyana and Caribbean Court of Justice. Your take? We should remain there or pull out?
We should. I said that during the election fiasco that the CCJ, especially with this current president that they have, and then he paid his courtesy call, as he said, on Jags and the others. Guyana should have never been in the CCJ, and we should never be there. It is an absolute waste of time. and a very destructive court, if you ask me, to the well-being of our people as Guyanese in general. When one who should be called a learned judge would say that there's nothing in essence called an invalid vote, that is an absolute donkey. I hope you have a donkey to show somebody one day. But that's a fool, because if a constitution speaks of there being valid votes being counted, there has to be something that invalidates the vote. And this man agrees with the nonsense. Then he would have, in essence, when I looked at it, because mine speaking to the election issue of why Guyana should never be there, they twisted and turned the law to say they have jurisdiction when our constitution is clear that the final court is the Court of Appeal. Now, what else? All you had to say, well, listen, the constitution is clear. That's it. We can do nothing. But no, not that one. And so, if you ask me, as soon as the president is sworn into this country, I promise you, the next thing they should do is leave the CCJ, abandon it unceremoniously. Tell them, get out, we're not coming back to see any one of y'all, and we change the law as fast as we can. Because they have done so much damage to us, the people, so much destruction. I don't know, I'm not a judge, and if I see something that says that the final court, in reference to any appeal being heard in relation to elections, is the Court of Appeal, then that's it. You can't go beyond that. But not, what's his name, Saunders? Not him.
Those guys are a bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night. It's 22 minutes after 9 o'clock. With us is Apostle Nigel Eliakim. I finally got an opportunity to pronounce his name correctly. You can tell for those of you who are teachers and headmasters and headmistresses out there, principals out there, you could tell how I was in Form 1 or 2, right? It took me 2 months to actually pronounce his name correctly. Eliakim. I finally got it. Good night to all of you again. Hey, guess what's happening? I agree. CARICOM is doing absolutely nothing. They have done nothing over the past maybe 10, 15, 20 years. It's not like the old-time CARICOM, and old-timers like K. Leighton, K. Charles, and other old-timers will understand. Those of you who remember CARICOM and the original CARICOM with who was it? Burnham, then Burroughs and Eric Williams and those guys. Those were leaders back then. We don't have the calibers around these days at CARICOM, huh? Nigel?
No, we do not. And I must compliment you on at least getting my new name as close as possible. It's Keem because of Hebrew, but that's good. It can work for a student like you. But it's fine.
I like that. At least I'm several steps higher than Irfan Ali, though. But that's
you bet. I wouldn't even ask him to pronounce it.
Thank
you. Indeed, the CARICOM we once knew, and of course it involved Samson Burnham being the one who would have been very, very actively involved in its formation. The vision that they had and the leaders that they were, we don't find them anymore because the hypocrisy of the PPP here, with the Haiti situation, for example. I mean, many Guyanese, I hope that they're aware now, but Irfan Ali would have sought to reach out to one or two letters, I'm aware of that, to a man who's one of the most corrupt leaders in Haiti, and that he should be the one responsible for brokering some stability in Haiti. This man, why would President Irfan Ali speak on my behalf to suggest that Guyanese want Haiti to be stabilized by a corrupt criminal who's in exile somewhere? But that's what we do here.
But Apostle, why are we, or why should you or we be surprised that this guy, who was once charged 19 fraud charges, blocked from going to Canada, is reaching out to a fellow crook? Why should we be surprised, though, Apostle?
I would not be surprised, and I'm happy that you made others aware of that fact. That I call him 19 fraud Ali charges Ali because the court has never tried him. The DPP decided on her own that she's going to discontinue the charges that were brought against him. But that's what we have. We have CARICOM being unable to address a matter whereby Guyana, under the leadership of the PPP, decided that Haitians who have every right to enter this country, they need visa and all the rest of it, and they reject these people. But Venezuela could pop up here, Cubans could pop up over here, especially those who are of the fair complexion, as they call themselves. This is ridiculous. And CARICOM is yet to call Guyana what it is, the PPP what they are, which are hypocrites. But that's what happens. Barnum didn't have that in him. Robinson and others didn't have that nature. What they sought to do was to strengthen a part of the world in which they knew that the neo-colonizers would have sought to have us under their watch and their control as they do now. So CARICOM now, for me, just some hustlers who exist to make the best of what they can at the expense of the poorer class of people. This one here, Irfan, would have given to Mir Motley's people, I think, or Mir Motley, 50,000 acres, I think, of land. Of our land, by the way. He said on that he could give away our land for there to be engaged in agricultural practices. This man believes that Guyana is his because the Swami who came from India, I think he got 100,000+ acres. I may be wrong. I hope it's less than that. But Irfan has been doling out land, claiming it for agricultural purposes to people and his own people. Us as Guyanese cannot even get a 200 by 200 to 1 acre of land to plant for ourselves freely. So our country really has a calamity, or I should say a cacophony. They have a symphony and then you have, for those viewing, a cacophony and a comedy of errors to deal with here in this country. Because CARICOM, as they have sold it, is not what it is right now. When Burnham started it and others, what we have now, I say again to you, are people who are unqualified and incapable of really having a community across the Caribbean because their agenda is different, their motives are different, and they fail to call out hypocrisy when it should be called out.
Well said, Apostle Nigel with us this evening, and good night to all of you if you've just joined us. Since we are on the subject of snake finale, ear finale, yeah. Somebody said snake finale, and for some reason, I don't know, it stuck in my mind. Snake finale. I want you to take a listen to this, please, Apostle, about this snake oil dealer, ear finale. Take a listen to this and let's get your opinion, sir.
How old are you?
I am 28, sir.
And where do you live?
In Kitty.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Applied for a house lot?
Not yet.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your own life. At 28 years, you should be making better life decisions. Think about it. Thank you. Bye.
Apostle?
My brother and fellow Guyanese, when I saw that clip, I intensified my dislike for Irfan, because what Irfan should have told the young man is how at 28 years or 30 years old, he was able to acquire what he did. Irfan, that is. Tell the young man that based on certain connections and privileges afforded him, Irfan, that is, he was able to attain so many things because Irfan has become detached from reality. How do you have the average 28-year-old man in this country who's a media personality, but not even one who works with the media? Where can he afford to build even a 2-bedroom house in this country without going to the bank and be the mercy of lenders in this nation? What world is Irfan living in? He asked the fellow if he applied for a house lot. How do you get it so easily? When they're now operating as if when they give Guyanese a 100 by 80 or 100 by 50 plot of land, it's a great favor. I am of the view, and I've shared it before, that no Guyanese should be having to pay for any house lot in this country. We have way too much land. If he could give me a Motley, 50,000 acres of land, what happened to us? I just spoke to that. And so Irfan said that the young man should sit, I guess because of which media house he represented, but he should sit and he should have made better life decisions and life choices at the age of 28. How, Irfan, did you get the house at Region 3 with a pool house and all the rest of it? Tell us all as Guyanese people. How could you, after being in government, as they say, for 2 years just about, build such a structure when your salary as a minister, your salary then was not $1.something million because it was doubled or increased by Granger and others? You need to tell us how you could afford to build what you did. You said your grandfather, I think that's what you said, left it for him. Your grandfather had a pool house too, and a pool in the yard. This man is a disgrace, and he insulted a young Guyanese male who is a representation of the average young Guyanese male. At 28 years old, there are many Guyanese who do not have a house. That is a fact. I thought it was common knowledge. At 35 years old, Over 80% of Guyanese do not own a home at 35. And even if they have a house in which you live, it's owned by the bank. And this moron of a man can suggest that the 28-year-old young man should have been making better life decisions. Now, I apologize if I offend your audience for calling Ali a moron, Mr. Benshaw, but I think he's a moron. And it's my conviction that is deep-rooted, based on his utterances and how he analyzes life around him. It is moronic. It is colossal in reference to stupidity for anyone to suggest that given what Guyanese earn, they can, at 28 years old, being a reporter, own a home. I mean, really? But as he said, the young man didn't make better life choices. After 2 years, I'm speaking based on this report, if an Ali builds a mansion with a pool house, after 2 years,
Gaisuko land.
at 31 years old, on Gaisuko's land while he was responsible for housing.
And not only that, I mean, it's okay to refer to him as a moron, but I do know some morons. They are way better than him. So I don't, you're insulting morons when you call this guy a moron. He's way beneath morons. And morons are really those guys who I know who are morons. They're something else. But this he got when he was minister. Lots and lots of acres there on this Linden Sioux Dike highway there. This is what they do. They give themselves stuff. And then there it is. He wants to disrespect and criticize that young reporter. Look at this. He was just 31 years old. His nana, nobody died and left him any sort of wealth.
No.
Look at this. And look at his pool house. Look at this pool house. He can't even jump on the lower level, much less all the way on top. But the top part is to drink, hustle, and then they look like they get a little room at the side there. We know what a room for, but we're not going to say it. We know what it's for, right? Anyways, good night to all of you. Again, this is what we're talking about.
How old are you?
I'm 28, sir.
And where do you live?
In PT.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Apply for a house lot?
Not yet.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your own life. At 28 years, you should be making better life decisions. Think about it. Thank you. Bye.
At 28. All right, let's move away from this this individual on the screen there. What a waste of time. I want to get to during the elections where the PPP rigged the elections, and with the help of those outside of Guyana, they were able to install them into office. What is your take on the PPP reporters, the PPP guys were as they tried to explain what was happening?
So you said valid votes counts, votes cast must, more votes cast must mean.
One more time.
So you said valid votes counts, votes cast must, more votes cast must mean valid votes. Sorry. And
you're smiling. You try to get at me for being in a particular class, but what about him? What about him?
You're the valedictorian, and if you ask Ali to say that word, it'll be chopped up as well tonight.
Valid something.
You must be the valedictorian if that's how he seeks to explain what in reference to the electoral crisis that we faced. When Anil Nandalal was the one who wanted to suggest, in his capacity as the guru for the PPP, that there's nothing called an invalid vote. I am still horrified, and I hope that Guyana will have some leader who will bring Anil Nandalal to justice, bring him to answer to the people of this country, and make him pay a great price for putting us through that nonsense. To say that as long as somebody has got the ballot, which is valid, of course, that paper, and they put a mark in it, it's valid. All the other stipulations in law, in the Representation of the People's Act, they do not matter. So we have no need to have all these ballots with documents in reference to what are called statutory documents. You don't need that. There's no need to validate your identity to vote. So an American, a Dutch individual, Surinamese, a Trinidadian could show up and just take a ballot paper and take it and say, well, I voted, that's valid, according to Anil's reasoning. This country has been cursed at this time with some of the most asinine people who calling themselves leaders. and the media had to represent the cause of the PPP because they paid heftily to have advertisements and so on aired. So they have to, even if they are embarrassed to say what they say, they have to find a way to present it to make it make sense. When you have got, especially the 47 ballot boxes without documents, which are called statutory documents, the documents are required to be present in any ballot box according to the law of Guyana. And these people, including the Caribbean Court of Justice, are saying this actually is not a problem. It's not a big deal. It's no issue. And don't let me speak to Claudette Singh either, because they all have to answer to the Guyanese people. I hope that for some of these people, that nature will take its course and take them out of this world before there's a change of administration with people who will really have the chutzpah and the strength to deal with them in the way they should be dealt with. Because the price they've made Guyana pay ever since then, they have to take the burden for it squarely on their shoulders.
I'll just make it clear that nature take its toll. Nature take its toll. Nature take its toll. We haven't been seeing anything, or hearing anything from Claudette Singh. Isn't it unusual? Isn't it weird? Isn't it disrespectful? At least people in the opposition should be calling this CEO out to speak, to tell the nation what's happening at GCOM, other than the massive level of corruption in there at GCOM. We're not hearing anything from her.
And it's frightening that we're not hearing it, because I know what comes in reference to, or what pertains to the next election. Because the last one, we saw what happened, and we saw that we've got one who's now an attorney general who wants to suggest that certain things are not critical to establishing or determining or ascertaining whether one is actually qualified to vote. And when you've got a CEO who knew what happened in the last election, and she's unprepared to say that GCOM has sought to have this administration and the opposition agree on biometrics and other things being used to guarantee that A, there'll be a more rapid declaration of results, and B, there'll be greater security in reference to validating who true Guyanese are and that they are alive when they're voting. Because you should know from the local government election that Bard came forward with a confession that someone did sign on behalf of a dead woman, and he confessed that it should not have been done, and he acknowledged that it was done. And this woman right here, after recognizing that, okay, general elections would have gone, now in the local government election, people began to sign as a dead person. Now let's ensure that this doesn't happen. We are not hearing from her. I have not heard from her actually since this new CEO, who was totally unqualified based on the legal requirements. She said, well, in essence, he hung around there for a few years. He acted in certain capacities, so that the 7-year, I think it would have been a 10-year period, was met based on him just acting and being around that environment. This woman, I say again, many of them have to hope and pray that nature takes its course, and according to chronology and biology or something, they just pass away before the law of Guyana takes its course to act on them.
Let me say good night. Let me say good night to Beryl, since you're talking about nature and taking its course. Beryl, good night to Beryl, Hurricane Beryl. We have a GCOM hurricane, Claudette. Claudette hasn't been saying anything. The opposition commissioners have been very, very quiet.
Yeah.
They say nothing. They stand up. Occasionally, Vincent Alexander will issue some letter in the letters column, but that's it. Charles Corbin is quiet as a mouse. The only time you hear that he says something is when he draws the money at the end of the month and go to the bank and say, cash it. Desmond Trotman, is it Desmond Trotman?
Yeah.
Desmond Trotman is quiet as a mouse. What's going on with these guys at GCOM?
I really need to know, and I'm happy that you're raising this, because it gives us, as a Guyanese people, the sense that 2025 is not far away, and there will be an election announced in the not too distant future, probably even in this year. So if we have opposition commissioners, and they know, they should be very, very well aware as to what would have transpired in the last general and regional general elections of 2020, then you should be the loudest on a consistent basis, approach the media, speak to the media, establish your own platforms or speak wherever you have to do so on the opposition platform to let Guyanese know that this CEO is not taking the necessary steps to ensure that the next elections are not met with the same levels of confusion or even worse. They are not saying anything. We've got officials before the court for 4 years, just about. And Claudette Singh isn't saying, well, listen, by now there should be evidence on the table, since the special prosecutor, Hanuman, said he had 700 witnesses who could come forward to say that Mingo rigged the election. I have not from one. And the opposition commissioners are not coming forward to explain to Guyanese people that something is going wrong, terribly wrong at GCOM, and we should therefore raise our voices and lend our voices to the cry that we know that the next elections are planned to be rigged if this administration doesn't do what we have the money to do. Get the computers here, get all the biometrics in place so that we do not have to go through the peril of Claudette.
And most Guyanese, except some of those who have their heads in the sand, most Guyanese are aware that something is fishy at GCOM. We saw it. It was exposed during the course of the local government elections that they rigged the local government elections. The opposition, of course, they didn't contest 218 or 291 positions. So if you don't contest something and the PPP wins, then you lose. You've lost. There's no way to say that you did well in the local government elections, knowing very well that the PPP rigged the system. Let's go to this guy here, your Poker Street guy, Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips doesn't have anything to say, doesn't have anything to do, nothing constructive, absolutely nothing. He's a freeloader. He says here, a couple days ago, it will be a case of an opportunity lost cannot be regained. If the People's National Congress reform and the Alliance for Change weekend conferences come to an end without their leaders apologizing to the people of Guyana for their collective attempt to rig the 2020 general and regional elections. This is coming from Mark Phillips, the House, you know what, Mark Phillips. This is coming from a man who, when he was Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, couldn't account and still to this day say to the Guyanese people what has happened to the US $25 million that the Guyana Defense Force allegedly paid to Larry Singh for arms and ammunition that were never received while he was Chief of Staff. Where is the $25 million US dollars, Mark Phillips? Don't talk about rigged elections. Don't talk about that. We all know what happened. Well, let's hear from Apostle Nigel.
Thank you so much for raising that yet again. Very important for Guyanese to know what we have, first of all, what we have to do with with the likes of the first vice president, which he is, and prime minister, who said that AFC and the PNC should apologize to Guyanese for seeking to rig the 2020 general and regional elections. And this same prime minister is in a political party who, when the PNC approached the court to say they would like to have a petition heard so that essentially they can prove that the PPP rigged the election, the same Mark Phillips didn't say to Jagdeo and Alil, he didn't say publicly, listen, let's go ahead and expose Granger and others who sought to rig the election. Instead, his party fought assiduously, vehemently, passionately to ensure that the matters were never heard. So, Mark Phillips, this is a perfect opportunity for you to apologize to the people of Guyana, for us to know, certainly, that you are functioning in a manner that is an insult to the office of the Prime Minister. Hamilton Green, who would have been just about the first one who functioned for a few decades with Burnham, Hamilton Green represented and represents a class of a man that you may need to study for about 20 years before you can become 5% as capable as he is to speak well, and to explain things and matters of national interest well enough. Because for you to know that your party sought so desperately to prevent the matters from being heard in the court of law, when they accused Granger of seeking to steal an entire election and steal the government and all kinds of nonsense, why would you not say then that your party took them to court and it has been proven that they were guilty, and then there should be an apology? And if you ask me, there should not be any apologies made for people who rigging an election. I believe, and I will say, that anybody who's guilty of rigging an election in Guyana, based on what we experience, should be put to death, executed according to law, not jail or apologize. Anybody who's found guilty of rigging an election in our country, let's make that deal, Mark Phillips. I know you're a military man, so you understand the power of death and what it does to people when they cycle before they die. So let's make an agreement, Mark Phillips. Anyone who's found guilty of rigging an election, let's tell the court, reopen the petitions and let's hear them. You must be shot in a public square. Let's see if the people, I've accepted this for this is the 4th year. For 4 years, Guyanese people, enemies and friends of mine, I've been asking this honest, upright, and decent cabal to please, let's make a deal. I've asked the PNC the same thing. Let's make a deal. Anybody who's found to have rigged an election or participated in the rigging of an election in Guyana should be shot publicly by an execution squad, by a firing squad. To this day, I swear that not even one politician has come forward to say that they agree with that. What does that tell you about the PPP and their supporters? Not even one of them. Nobody from GCOM, not a soul, not even a trolling moron came and say, yes, I agree. There should be a death sentence for those who rig an election. I wonder why. Mark Phillips can answer that tomorrow, subliminally.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then the entire hierarchy of the PPP wouldn't be there any longer in terms of rigging the elections, and the sentence that you have proposed, which is a bit draconian, I must admit, but the people of Guyana wouldn't say it's draconian. They would probably love to watch sit on a TV screen and probably smile and say, you've got to have harsh penalties for those who have rigged elections, and the PPP have rigged the 2020 general and regional elections. The PPP has rigged or attempted to rig the 2015 elections. They have attempted to rig the 2011 elections when they tried that one seat. Then in 2006, they stole a seat from the Region 10 and gave it to that Paku Sam Hines, who sat in that seat for 5 years. These people have no moral authority to talk about rigged elections. Many folks would recall the 1997 elections when they did the jiggery pokery, and the same Claudette Singh, who is now sleeping at GCOM, she is sleeping. She's the one that vitiated the elections, and in 2001, the decision was made, and by 2001 March, they had to call fresh general and regional elections. And I'm sure they rigged the 2001 elections too. I don't know what's going on, but GCOM has to speak out. They have to come out. They have to say, Claudette Singh has to say something. Now let's move on. And we're not going to touch on the fact that tonight, Steve Bannon, a close advisor there of then President Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, is currently in jail. All because he defied Congress. He refused, and they say, okay, we are going to charge you for contempt. This is what we're going to do. And Steve Bannon right now is in his orange jumpsuit, probably in the same cell with Bobo. Steve Bannon. I just thought I let you guys know that. But let's go back to Guyana, please, Apostle. Miner's body, this is what it says. Miner's body calls on the so-called government to get serious about gold smuggling. The miner's body is calling on a pack of thieves in the PPP regime, and some of these miners themselves who are part of this body are themselves questionable, but they're calling on a questionable entity to get serious about gold smuggling. Do you think that will ever happen in Guyana, sir?
No, it would not happen in Guyana, not under this group, because if there is a preponderance of evidence, quoting the words of the US ambassador, to support that which was released in reference to the sanction, then against the Mohammeds and May Thomas, then I would like to think that the PPP is well aware of and this has happened today or yesterday or last year, this is the normal behavior, that gold and diamonds are smuggled out of Guyana. And so for the miners' body to now call on the government, who the US would have labeled rightfully so as being corrupt in reference to the official present, I don't know how you can ask in reference to what we say Guyana, cat to watch milk. How you expect a corrupt set of people to get serious about corruption? I mean, it seems to me as though the Miners Association or this body, they have to begin to sing and speak as though, for their visas to be protected, of course, that they want to distance themselves from anyone who's guilty of smuggling or considered to be guilty of smuggling, and they want to pray as though they are going to be now these angelic beings who are going to stand for what is proper and what is right. We know, and most Guyanese know, as far as I'm aware, that there's been an in reference to declaration of gold, an underestimation, and they have not truly represented and presented that which they've extracted from our soil. So let's be real and let's be serious. I don't expect this to ever happen, especially not with this group of people who we have representing us as leaders or calling themselves leaders.
Certainly not. All right. Hey, guess what, guys? 52 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful, beautiful Guyana. We have a few minutes remaining. Let's take a look at Georgetown. Again, under the corrupt PPP regime. It was clean, very, very clean, under the APNU AFC President Granger's administration. Your take on what's happening now, Apostle?
I must say that under David Granger's administration, Georgetown was restored, or it began to be restored, to that which was the Garden City, extremely beautiful, well-maintained. If there's one thing that I cannot fault David Granger for, and Patterson and others, would have been the understanding of having a clean environment, especially in our city. It's obvious that this PPP clan want to ensure that Georgetown is run down so lowly that they would have every right to tell people, you see, it's the PNC who's leading in reference to the mayor, and they're the ones who are at fault. But we know and have followed the trend. When the PPP would have been in office, the mayor and city council building, I would never forget these people. They allowed it to come to ruin, to be a derelict structure, just to spite Hamilton Green. That's the nature of what we have for leadership here in the PPP. They allowed a beautiful, one of the most beautiful buildings in Guyana, the City Hall, to come to ruin just because Hamilton Green didn't want to get him out. And so what you see now around Georgetown, for me, represents the mentality of those who lead at the helm of the PPP, the top tier. That's their mind. What you see there is an expression in this image of what goes on in Ali and others' heads. That's what has filled their head. Garbage, trash. That's why they cannot make decisions that are healthy, that are beneficial to the average Guyanese person, and that make Guyana appear to be a nation that's governed properly because of this kind of stuff right here. They want to spite the PNC or APNU, and as a result of that, they didn't win the local government election in reference to Georgetown. So they want to show you that we punish you because you didn't support us. That's what we're dealing with here.
That's exactly what they're doing. And we have Apostle Nigel Eliakim with us. Good night to all of you. If you just joined us, we are exposing the PPP. That is what we are. We are set out to do right here on 107.1 FM, exposing the PPP. We've got to keep the fight. We've got to be consistent. We've got to be aggressive in ensuring that we expose them. We can't expose them one night and then 2, 3, 4 months, nothing is being said, and people forget about things. Now, we do not do that on 107.1 FM. It's the other thing as we look at the time. Jagdeo was in Canada recently. They advertised it for days that he was going to be there. And look at the crowd. Look at the folks who turn out there. Just a handful, maybe about 47 persons, 40 of whom are non-Guyanese. You're not surprised that people, PPP, are turning away from the PPP, Jagdeo and Irfan.
I'm not surprised at all. And I was told by someone who with whom I associate that in Canada they went to protest, but Jagdeo was hurriedly taken away from that environment. And because Guyanese in Canada went to find him, and they went there to protest for him to know that they are totally against that which he's doing and that which is happening in our country. So what I would like to suggest more than Canada is he should take a trip to the US. I don't know why he's going to the US. I've asked him before, ever since the sanction and so on, Jagdeo, take a trip to the US, please. Go to New York, especially, go to land at JFK, and let's just see what happens, because of course you should be welcomed there with open arms. But anyone who has followed Ghana's political situation recently, who follows in reference to the contracts being awarded, who follows the Madia situation where 19 girls and 1 boy, little children were slaughtered because of a fire, were burnt to death in a fire, and then they took the debris from that building and filled potholes in Madia. You telling me that anybody who knows of these people would know that Jagdeo does not belong in anything called leadership? And here you have what I call the Minister of Fire. She goes wherever there's a fire, you now see her popping up, standing in the rubble before there was any investigation launched. And people across the world, because of social media, have begun to see in real time what the PPP and Jagdeo really stand for. In reference to contracts being issued, I have seen so many reports about corruption and persons being forced to sign and rush to sign documents and backdate documents. And of course, it's evident that those who, one a critic of McHale, his company disqualified through public procurement. They say, listen, this guy isn't qualified for any pump station. Now he has a contract for land clearing of $600 million, for which he's certainly unqualified to. So anyone who is honest with themselves would know that even if Jagdeo were to visit heaven, he'll be told up there, go back, wrong place, because you are disqualified based on your conduct. Don't come here. But I want him to go to JFK, please. I want him to take a trip to Queens to meet with the wonderful people who support him in New York.
You know, he hasn't been coming to the US for quite a while, and people are speculating as to the reason why Jagdeo is so afraid. He is so afraid to visit the United States of America. Why is he so afraid? Only time will tell. Why is this guy, Jagdeo, is afraid to hop on a plane and visit the United States of America? Why is he afraid? All right, before we go, what's going on with this here? Kane Field gets $50 million. Look at this health center. Awesome. $50 million to this health center. You want to touch on that before we leave?
Wow. Oh boy. What else can we say about that which we often see in this country? And I just spoke about it. In reference to contracts being awarded, there is a cash cow in this country. Infrastructure, public works is where the money is flowing like rain. And to look at what is presented to us as Guyanese people for our money spent, I just hope that over time and in the very near future, there will be a revolution in reference to how we process and how we function, and we decide to hold public courts to say that we, as the people, have had enough of what is being done to us, and we therefore are going to now defend our resources and defend our wealth. If every Guyanese, or just 50%, or 40%, or 20% of Guyanese were to stand together in this nation to say that based on things like this, we want to protect our money. We don't trust y'all, and we stand together, you'll see what happens.
All right, as we look at the time, closing remarks. Over the weekend, the AFC held their Congress. The PNCR held their Congress. Just would like to closing remarks to talk about the fact that the AFC has a new leader, and the PNC is continuing with the leader, and who is also the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Compton Norton. And your closing remarks, please, sir, as I take a break and drink some coffee. Go ahead, sir.
Why would you take a break at this time to fix some coffee, leaving me to speak to this painful experience that we've had over the past few days or weeks? Aubrey Norton, and please forgive me for the, it's a noisy environment I'm in here. But the PNC has been brought to a place whereby, if I were to believe it happens, Burnham and Hoyt would be rolling, as they say, in their graves to see what has become of such a strong, powerful force called the PNC. And to know that so many have decided that they will not even seek to contest the election anymore. They just turned away and left Aubrey just to make a statement, I know, that, well, this is what you get for not having things done our way or the way it should be done, whatever. At the end of the day, the PNC is at its lowest under Aubrey Norton. It's my strongest conviction. There may be those who will not agree with me, and I don't ask you to agree with me. Based on what I know your founder leader to be, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, that man, based on what he has been and what Aubrey Norton now is, you are at your lowest, because you are now being led by an individual who doesn't even know when it's time to say, you know what, that's it. If I am not wanted, I shall not present myself. AFC, on the other hand, has got another experience in that there seems to be a wind of hope, as they would have been with Granger in 2015, to say that this is now the moment where Nigel Hughes, this one who's a champion for the people as he may be labeled, is the one who's going to take us to a new horizon, a new day, a new dawn in Guyana. And he's going to take on the PPP. What I hope, for his sake, is that he would not disappoint the people as his predecessors would have done. It is my hope that Nigel would honestly step forward, because we share the same name, so at least I have to be nice to one who carries my name, because all Nigels except Damlal are generally nice people. There's one who got, maybe the post GPO needs to be approached to say, there's a mistake. This boy isn't Nigel. He got the wrong name. Somebody just wrote the wrong thing, and because Damlal shouldn't be called anything called Nigel. Anyway, sorry. But Mr. Hughes has got a great opportunity to show all of us whether Guyana matters most to him or whether business matters most to him. And knowing him, I believe that he will show us, or I hope he does, that Guyana matters most. And as a result of that, he'd be inclined to, if possible, distance himself from the likes of the PNC and what they now present, and fight for what you believe Nigel used to be, a better or a different Guyana. With that said, I still believe that beyond those who lead political parties, we the people, this is our time to take example from Africa, for example, to take example from Sri Lanka, to take example from nations across the world, where the people decided that those who call themselves politicians are not qualified leaders anywhere but down the cliff. So as a result of that, we shall stand up and do what democracy truly means, which is that the people will govern. Guyana must be governed by its people through representation. And if you fail to represent us, then we'll take back the governance on our shoulder and kick you somewhere where you belong. Thank you. And I appreciate your disrupting my wonderful rest, as always, because you're qualified to do so. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate your opinions on these matters. I have refrained thus far from letting the public know what I do think, and I think some of them can read between the lines. So I spend most of my day working, doing some immigration work whenever I can, but the majority of the day is spent babysitting. I'm now officially a full-time babysitter.
And let me say sorry about that. I know I had my last one, but I must honestly compliment you as a model father. Your son has done so well. Sons actually, but the one who has his master's. Hopefully he's headed for his PhD. And I must compliment you for the very important fact that I can say without reservation that this administration did not contribute in any way to this young Guyanese man attending Oxford University and shining as he would have done. It takes a father of great, and of course parents of great strength to do what you've done. So I do compliment you, and also on your bid to represent matters regarding immigration and to develop yourself at your young age to hopefully be a lawyer one day who can truly challenge the likes of what we have here in this country. Thank you so much, my brother. Keep doing what you're doing.
Apostle Nigel, I think you're being a bit mischievous tonight. Along the way, I've been watching you, especially when you just said young me, and a little smirk on your face there. You said young me. I got you. Thank you so much, Apostle. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nobody wants to challenge Exxon and the deal and to ensure that Guyanese get a proper deal out of Exxon. People are afraid to challenge Exxon. And I don't know why people are afraid to challenge these politicians, some of whom are leaders and so forth. We see the connection with some of them and Exxon, and the ordinary man, woman out there in the streets are asking the simple question: who will stand up and represent the people to get a fair share, to talk about pittances and handouts and cash grants from Exxon and the little pittances that the Guyanese people receive is not enough. It's just not enough. We need politicians and leaders who are bold enough to make a decision and hopefully at some point in time very soon force the hands of Exxon to ensure that the people get what they deserve. Cash grant is just like a little handout, a welfare check at the end of the month. The people deserve better. Those who know. I noticed the mark on your face again, but I wish all of them know. For now, I'll continue to sit in a corner and do my babysitting job. Thank you so much, Nigel, as always.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your time. Give my regards to your family, please.
I shall do the same. Thank you.
And to all of you, beautiful people, wherever you're watching, whatever view or views or opinions you hold, it's okay, politically or otherwise. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time. So long.
Money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. You can keep your conniving money. When you been a corrupt, you have been tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you have been tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want your conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. I don't want you conniving money.